When I was a kid, gaming it was for fun. The main reason why I personally would have decided to pick up any game, you know, be it on the PlayStation 1 and so on, even the consoles before that, which I used to rent consoles back in the day. I think for me the thing that is lost on gaming is the fact that none of it is about fun anymore. In most cases it's about spending time, free time that some have and many don't. The aspect of taking that time that you have and just spending it doing something that you enjoy. You're done from work, you get home, and the only thing that you really want to do is shut your brain off. The majority of games that are coming out in 2024, in my experience and yet to be seen, seem to be rushed, heartless, soulless, and in many cases, just outright boring. I'm confused as to who these games are actually made for. Back in the day, not that far back, but kind of far back. What I used to see was, in many cases, you would have a game that had a very specific purpose. That game would release, you would go in, you would enjoy it, be it a racing game, a fighting game, a shooting game, whatever it was. The main purpose of it was you would get that experience, you would have fun, and you would just walk away. That's all that it needed to be. But unfortunately, it seems to be much more of a business now than just people having fun. Gaming on its own is just there for fun, but I feel like just the process of making it is just as much about fun too. Being that I have a degree in animation, there's nothing more that I enjoy about the industry than spending that time with someone else who also has ideas of their own, that wants to share those ideas, and finding that balance between what's better for the story, what's better for the gameplay, and making sure that the game is, well, fun. I keep going back to that word for a very specific purpose. As a kid, I would get away from school, I would get home, and the only thought that I would have is, hey, I want to boot up that game and just play it. Hell, I didn't even care about the story in most cases. I just wanted to play as a cool guy doing something cool. But I've noticed that it's not really about that anymore. Now, in some ways, it's also happening with certain things like shows, movies, and a whole bunch of other things too. What is the point of the entertainment? And who is it for? Now, not every single game that's going to come out are for me. I'm not going to sit here and expect everything to be made for me. I don't want everything to be made for me because then other people won't be able to enjoy it as much as I enjoy the games that I enjoy. So, because of that, I would hope that any studio that is making their game focuses, at least I would hope so, that they focus on the specific audience that they want to make games for. Now, I say that to say, look, I enjoy racing games quite a lot, actually. Now, that doesn't mean every single racing game, though, is made for me. Need for Speed, for the longest time, would have been made for someone like me. I loved it. I love cars and a lot of those things, customizing them. That was for me. But that doesn't mean that every single Need for Speed game that comes out has to be for me. The same goes for Forza when I got into that. I got into it in Forza Horizon 4, and so I really enjoyed that. Now, but that doesn't mean that it has to be made for everyone. Not every single person has to enjoy that specific game. If they want to, they can. You shouldn't have to feel like that specific idea that you have, that concept, is made for each and every person. It isn't. And there are tons of games on Steam and on a whole bunch of other places that just aren't made for me. There are games that just stress me out. Now, I really enjoy MMOs, but I stay away from them usually because I have a hard time focusing on too many things happening at once. And so because of that, I don't play them as often. And the time that you would have to put into them to stick with them, it's a bit much for me. But what I've realized is, and again, going back to 2024, the main issue that we are running into is games are just being made because it is required for the business, it's required for the company, and it just has to make some money. I'm sweating up a storm, by the way. Got multiple lights on me. And they're little lights too, by the way, and there's just... Anyway, it seems to be that it's not even just it's about money, it's that I wish it was just about money. Because obviously you want the company and the business to do well so that they can make more games and more, products. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is that they are doing that and they're cutting corners and they're forcing their developers in the studios to just churn out game after game, and it's just nothing. There's no fun, there's no enjoyment. It's entertainment without the entertainment, and it confuses me because who is it made for? And I do not know. I do not understand. The specific question that I had was, what's the point? I put out this video. I tell a bunch of people what I think about games, and what's the point? I think it's with all entertainment and other things as well, like politics, but that's a whole other thing. People have just had enough of being let down. Now, that requires some level of involvement, to say. But I think the audience is just as much involved in a lot of these games as the developers are making them. There's always that distinction made between the two. The amount of work put into making the game and the amount of work and hours and time and money put in to playing and trying to enjoy a game, which then in turn pays those developers, which, hopefully pays them, and then makes sure that there are sequels, prequels, whatever is going to come out after that. There is a give and take on both sides. Developers are being treated horribly. Horribly. That's a fact. But at the same time, the audience is also being treated horribly. In both of those cases, there is one culprit, and I think we know who that is. The only thing that it's doing right now, taking all of the humanity out of it, because, the industry already has taken that out of the games. With all of that out of the way, the only thing left is just drivel. And that's all that we have. And you see this with every single genre of gaming. You see this everywhere. It is just nothing. It's a bunch of games that play very poorly, that are hardly optimized. With that said, this isn't just a PC issue, a mobile issue, console, whatever, wherever that you're playing. The problem is with the industry in itself. There are a lot of games on the way, especially in this year. We've got multiple games coming out in September. There's a couple coming out in August. And the rest of the year has quite a few as well. I think early 2025 is going to be in the heat of the moment. There's a lot of games coming out, at least from what we saw with Xbox and so on. Here's the thing though. Where back in the day I would have looked forward to that, where I would have sat here and said, you know what? There's a beautiful thing on the way. I'm looking forward to this game, that game. Instead, I don't do that anymore. I have to sit here and think, okay, can it play on my PC, and is it going to play properly? How much of the time that I spend on this is going to be for fun, and how much of it is just going to be me wasting my time and my money at that? I use Game Pass. I use it for a little bit. There are games that Otherwise, I would have to spend 60, 70, 80 pounds on. I'm in the UK. Let's look at some of the games that have come out recently. I'll give you a couple of examples, and I'll also mention some of the ones coming out soon. Now, just from the ones that I've played recently, and I've uploaded them onto my channel as well, and there'll be more on the way. There will probably be a little bit more of these videos. I enjoyed these, and I want to make these more. I actually made a skit the other day, and yeah, that was just, just to try it out. I've never been on the camera like this, at least for extended periods of time, especially with this many lights. I am sweating. It's getting mixed, reactions, and it's fine. I welcome it all. Likes, dislikes, comments, whatever they are, good ones, bad ones. I welcome them all because, I need the true feedback. I need that just so I know what people like and what people don't like. And I can make more of the stuff that people like. Which I would hope is the point, at least even with the industry, but I guess not. Some examples. First one, The First Descendant. I think that was among the first games. There were a couple of other games as well that I wanted to film for, but The First Descendant being one of them, right? As an example. The game released, and it is in a weird position. It's a mixture of other games. Now, the idea of it, I would personally like. I should like. But I noticed that it's made for a different audience. It's not made for me. And I understand that. But it feels like it should be. No, not should be. It feels like the type of game that I would play. I play Warframe. I've played Destiny. And this game is a mixture of both. And I should be enjoying it. But I don't. And I noticed that the reason why I don't is because you've got the really good game and then all the other stuff around it. And the part that I don't understand is, are these other features that are there for the actual betterment of the game? Or are they there just to waste my time or waste anyone else's time? Now, it's not fair to say that and then point to Warframe as a good game. Warframe isn't a good game by any means, or stretches of the imagination. It has a lot of flaws. Those flaws also, though, come with an exceptionally good gameplay. It's fun. You can enjoy it with a bunch of friends, and even alone. I play most of my games by myself. But again, features that I do not know who they are for. Are they for a subsection of the community? If so, by all means, right? Another game that I can point to. This one actually dropped a couple of days ago. It's in open beta right now, and I think it's actually going to end on the 23rd. Throne and Liberty, an MMORPG. Now, I grew up with MMOs. MMOs and some RPGs that I grew up on those, and racing games. And some horror games. I didn't play them as much. I would usually sit and my cousin would play the horror games and I would just sit there horrified of what I am seeing and not understanding it either. But I would just sit there. I would watch him play while I was, having a really bad time. But I enjoyed it because he enjoyed it. But Throne and Liberty is a weird one because visually it's a gorgeous game. It's one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best MMOs that has come out visually that has come out in the past a long while, actually, a really long while. But I say that to say it's visually gorgeous, but the gameplay is weird. Is the actual really proper word for it? And I say that because it's like it's very clunky. Like it wasn't meant to be that way. And sure enough, when you actually look into it, the gameplay wasn't supposed to be that way. But everyone hated it. Because again, who was it made for? And they themselves wouldn't have been so sure. So they changed their mind, they changed up the gameplay, and now it's a lot better, but it's still not great. And I worry because, it's supposed to come out in September? So many things are coming out in September, but it's supposed to come out in like September. So they have a month of August to figure that out. I mean, good luck. Good luck to the devs, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I want that game to do well. Will it? With this pay to win? That's a whole other conversation. Another one that has come out. Now, this one is actually a good game. It's actually a really good game from the amount that I have played. Now, I've only made, I think, 4 parts or so. Still Wakes the Deep. Now, this one's a horror game, and it's a really good game. Now, it's weird that I'm talking about how bad games are doing, but here I am bringing up a good game. Here's the thing. No matter how bad something is, you can point to anything with food, right? Anytime that you have something that is either all the way good or all the way bad, there's always that one thing. And Still Wakes the Deep is that one thing in the opposite direction, where everything else is just really trash. But Still Wakes the Deep is doing really well. It is, well, I say really well, I don't actually know how it's doing in sales, but it is such a good game. Now, it's weird to see that because you don't see that with anything else that has come out in a long time. It's really, really good. It's visually gorgeous. The writing is great. The gameplay is fun, but it's one in what, 100, 1,000? That's not right. And it shouldn't be that way. I would personally think it shouldn't be that way. There was another game that I put out a small first impressions for. It's called Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, and it's trying to be Dark Souls in the worst way possible. It has some really cool ideas. It's visually decent. The gameplay is horrible, and the story is a story. I didn't get that much into the story to really get it, but I'm sure there's a good story in there, probably, right? By the way, the voices in that game, it's weird. All that to say, it's another new one that's come out. It released, a couple of days ago. And I just, who is it for? That's the question that I have. Who is it for? Is it for the Souls community? Because it's a really bad Souls game. Is it for the adventure community? I guess it could be. Why not? But then you have Souls-like elements. So you're taking away from the people who would just be in it for the exploration and the adventure. Because the game has some really cool ideas. It really does. In my opinion, it has some really, really cool concepts and ideas. Stuff that I would love to see. From the weapon ideas to, I'm sweating up a storm, from the weapons to the outfits. I've only seen like color changes, so I'm hoping that changes a bit more. To the overall aesthetic and the magic systems and stuff that they have like that. I would love for more of that. But then they have tried to be Dark Souls for no reason. Don't try to be like another game that's really good and then not meet any of its standards. Games need to stop being Souls-like. There is a very specific, if people want Souls, they can go get Elden Ring. They could go get Bloodborne. They could go get Sekiro. They could go get any of the Souls games and Demon Souls if they really have access to that on console. I'm hoping they bring the remake to PC one day. I'm still hoping. They won't, but I'm still hoping, because they'll ever bring Bloodborne. But they can go play those games. And there are other Souls-likes on Steam, tons of them. Some of them are horrible, but they're there. You have, and by the way, I didn't play the new DLC for Elden Ring, but people are loving it. People are loving it. I say that though to say that content for that audience is there. It's already there. So are you also trying to cater to the same audience by giving them a lesser product? Why would they play your game? My question to it all is, what's the point? What's the point? Who is it made for? And which audience specifically, which community are you catering to? If I just start selling shoes, just randomly, and it's the worst shoes that anyone could ever make, and I sell them more expensive than something like Nike or I don't know. I don't really care about shoe brands so much. I don't really care. I just buy the cheapest shoes that I can find. I say that to say, If I'm trying to sell to the same people, but I'm selling them a worse product, how do I expect to make money? Now, the amount of studios that are closing, they are closing because they're selling to people who won't buy their games. And they're confused as to why those people aren't buying their games. I'll tell you why. Be it a message, be it a specific gameplay, be it a specific story, whatever it is you're trying to sell them, it has nothing to do with me or anyone else, right? You can make your game about anything, but know that your audience are the people who are going to pay for that game. If it's a bad game, they won't play it. If you're selling a game to this audience, but you're talking to them as if they are this audience, why would either of these people enjoy the game fully? They won't, and they don't. And games are doing very poorly in this day and age. Very, very poorly. Now, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe games will start being absolutely amazing. Every single game the game will come out and they will all be 10 out of 10. I'm sure IGN will make sure of that. Or that's not going to be the case. What's actually going to happen is more studios will be closed, more devs will lose their work. Why? Because a publisher wanted more money. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'm really hoping that I'm wrong. I love gaming. I enjoy it greatly, even at my age. I still enjoy it immensely. I enjoy the games I enjoy. The games, I mean, especially some of the older ones. There's still a couple I'm still looking forward to, of course. I'm just worried that they will disappoint as any other has over and over again. Hopefully, I am wrong, and I want to be wrong. That's to be seen. I'll see you guys in the next one.